South Park is one of those stupid worms that will never ever stop gnawing on a part of my big fat brain. I've been watching it for, well, basically my whole life. Or at least as long as I can remember. Even when the probability ratio of should I watch it or not was off the charts, I was still watching it. But hey, I like to think that I turned out relatively okay. If anything, I like to say that South Park helped to shape my never take 99.9% of humor too seriously, or you'll make yourself miserable type of viewpoint. And I must say, I'm really grateful for that. So, in short, I love South Park with my entire being. And despite the ups and downs over the years, it's still my favorite show alongside Merlin. And so for you lameoids who have no clue what I'm even talking about, first off, I'm so sorry. And second, here's the rundown of the show. At its core, South Park is an R-rated Charlie Brown Peanuts type of thing. It primarily has always followed the antics of 4th graders, Stan, Kyle, Kenny, and Cartman. But there are all sorts of characters surrounding them that have very dedicated fan bases. Sometimes a little too dedicated. If you've never seen the show, here are some of my absolute favorite episodes that you should 100% check out, only after you finish this video. Please don't leave me. More Crap, Bloody Mary, Cartman's Incredible Gift, Hell on Earth 2006, Ginger Kids, Fish Sticks, The Ungroundable, Fat Butt and Pancake Head, A Boy and a Priest, Poor and Stupid, The Ring, Licecapades, Crazy Cripples, Tweak X Craig, South Park is Gay, Good Times with Weapons, Woodland Critter Christmas, and Cartman Joins NAMBLA. Now, obviously, those aren't all my favorites, but those are the first that came to mind. Honestly, I might make a video going over my favorite South Park episodes, so if you're interested, stay tuned for a future video, I guess. Time for a throwback to a wee whippersnapper form of Chiaki, who would sit and stare at the tiny TV box for hours, watching South Park over and over again, all the while never getting bored of it. It's been 84 years, and yet I can still remember those cozy Earth Day evenings of me breaking the rules and instead watching my dad's Season 9 DVD set religiously, as my laughter rang through the house on a never-ending, and likely annoying, loop. Ever since those younger days, that season has always been one of my favorites. I mean, just look at all these bangers, from Bloody Mary to The Losing Edge. So many classic episodes all have a common piece to them. Cue everyone's favorite dysfunctional never should have been a dad, Mr. Randy Marsh.
Boo! You stink!
Just like how Stan is based on co-creator Trey Parker, Randy is loosely based on his actual father, Randy Parker. At least, I really hope it's a loose characterization, otherwise... Trey, now I understand why you are the way you are. Despite Randy's many flaws, he definitely knows how to put on a fantastic show and make you laugh almost effortlessly. At least in the long ago, everyone found him funny beyond belief. Nowadays, though, people aren't as big on Randy as they used to be, which is kind of disheartening, because how did he fall so far from the top of the pyramid? Like, he's Randy. He's hilarious. You can put him in any situation and it's funny. Like I mentioned before, so many classic episodes rely on him in a big enough way that it's noticeable. So where did it all go wrong for him? Why do so many people complain about so-called Randy episodes, when in the past those have always been enormous treats for the viewer? Why has the louder part of the South Park fanbase essentially cancelled Randy out of the equation? Well, like most shows that never seem to die, the giant, egregious, and dangerous tormentor named Flanderization leached onto the show. Specifically Randy. And of course, in turn began to wreak havoc on it entirely. But I guess the big question is why? Why Randy of all characters in the show when there are much easier options for Flanderization to suck the soul from? Where exactly did everything begin to crumble? Well, I think the best thing to do would be to take a little trip back in time, to that quiet little mountain town and take a look at Randy and how he evolved and then devolved to the point where even his fans can hardly bear him anymore. What happened to Randy's Tegridy? In the early days of South Park, Randy was portrayed as literally just some dude who spoke every now and then. He was just Stan and Shelley's geologist of a dad, a relatively normal, quiet, and chill guy, who just seemed a little out of the loop on some stuff. Including where his eyebrows had flown off to. Like, why does he look like that? Randy was never an idiot. He just had a few mere idiotic tendencies. That's all. I mean, in the name of canon compliance and understanding, Randy was considered competent enough to be hired by the mayor herself to discover why people were randomly combusting into flames on the streets. The real kicker, though, he actually figured it out and won a gosh dang Nobel Prize for his research. Like, what in the HE double hockey sticks happened to him? Have they checked if there's a crayon lodged far up his nose and into his brain? Because that seems to be a relatively common occurrence with these cartoon characters. Over time, he became a bit more goofy. A bit more silly, if you will. But he was still relatively likable and, of course, hilarious. I think that the first really funny Randy-related episode, like, hurts my stomach to breathe kind of funny episode, would have to be Something You Can Do With Your Finger from season 4. Because it's just so random, and his whole backstory is so weirdly not surprising, but also, like, why? I mean, this scene is all you need in order to understand why it's so funny to me.
Do this one thing and I want
No! No!
The woman was too stunned to speak.
But again, time went on, and eventually the crew handed Randy a bottle of beer and told him that he was now an alcoholic. So yeah, like alcoholism usually does, it changed him. Honestly though, as weird as this sounds, because for most cartoon dads, their drinking is usually their downfall, the addition of his liquor dependence actually was a good thing for not only his character, but the show as a whole. And even though it led to Randy falling even lower on the scale for Father of the Year, it gave the audience a plethora of material to laugh at. Bloody Mary, more crap, with apologies to Jesse Jackson, medicinal fried chicken. Those are just a few of the many greats from the Randy catalog. He really did make a name for himself despite everything. As the seasons continued to fly by, Randy grew to be more and more stuck in his ways and became a very integral part of the show, skyrocketing to the top of internet popularity leaderboards. From his few days of steamy Ray Vaughn to his illicit escapades as the worldwide superstar Lord,
Yeah, I'm Lord. Yeah.
Randy went through many changes and phases of life, but at the end of the day was still the same old Randy that we know and love. The fame hadn't changed him, yet. A few years back, the show began to mingle with serialization, which maybe that's a whole video in itself. Despite focusing on overarching stories with an episodic veil drawn over them, the show would eventually shut a chapter and move on to something new relatively quick. There was always something or someone new to pick on for them. However, after a few years of serialization, in comes the star of today's video, Tegridy Farms, aka the bane of an ignorant Randy's existence and, in turn, the show's existence itself. Because the show literally, like actually, I'm not being dramatic, was just rebranded as Tegridy Farms, aka the Randy Show, with everyone else sidelined for him to quote-unquote shine. And this wasn't just a one-off episode gag. Oh god no, that would be too easy. This was multiple seasons. Episodes revolving around Randy and his newfound sidekick Towley, and their stupid lives on the hemp ranch. While the original main 4 characters weren't forgotten about, they were definitely put on a back burner. It was always about something stupid Randy did while stoned out of his mind, like screwing a pangolin while in China with Mickey Mouse and causing the entire COVID-19 outbreak. Because that makes sense. Randy quickly became engulfed in idiocy. Tegridy Farms essentially took a human form in Randy, and his entire personality became Haha, XD, look at this stupid thing I did while I was stoned. I don't understand why everyone in my family resents me more than ever, even though I am actually intolerable nowadays with all of this stupid stoner Joe crap that I spew on a constant basis. Oh, woe is me, let's make a neglectful, stupid son who I wish was Jaden Smith Tegridy Weed special. Like, oh my god. Shut up. I absolutely love Randy. Like, I have probably said that a million times by now in this video. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. And that's why the past few seasons became unbearable at points for me. Just like the boys with Indiana Jones. I just hated seeing what was being done to him, and no one seemed to care enough to end the gag. Randy is hilarious, but I cannot fathom any new Randy episodes for a little while. Not because I think they would be bad, God no, they would probably be funny. But I just am so Randied out right now that it's not okay. Too much of anything is bad, even if a good thing is being projected 100 times louder. When the show began on the back of 4 fourthies who used to be 30s, it can't simply piggyback off of one side character and morph the entire show into the Randy Marsh hour. God, at this point I'm probably just mindlessly ranting and rambling about this because it was a disappointing thing to watch. I love South Park with all of my heart, and for once I actually felt a tinge of dread when a new episode would air. I was worried that my disappointment would just continue to snowball until it became like Modern Family Guy, which just hurts me to watch. It was just Randy everywhere, all at once, and the gag had gone on far too long, and it just felt like they ran out of ideas and just didn't care anymore. And the gag of Pothead Randy wasn't even one of the funnier Randy shticks to begin with. There are so many better and funnier storylines with him that just, simply put, are better. I've actually been thinking about doing this video for a long time now. I never could push myself to start it because all my thoughts were shrouded by frustration and fear that South Park would be like that forever and onwards. I couldn't find the words needed because all of them just ended up in me going in circles about this or that. It was exhausting. Just talking about Tegridy Farms annoyed me, and so honestly I just figured that this video wasn't worth the annoyance. And yet here I am, on the internet in a stupid little video, talking about none other than Tegridy Farms. So what's changed? What pushed me over the edge to finally get this video and all of my thoughts out there once and for all? Well, to be perfectly honest, South Park surprised me in a very, very good way. Karens. We all know them, whether we're related to one, have witnessed them hunting prey in their natural habitat of retail stores, or even if we've only heard the legends. Karen is the true worldwide epidemic of the century. Karenification is exactly what had happened to Randy. Literally, not metaphorically. In the summer special two-parter, The Streaming Wars, Randy is wreaking havoc on the town by being a constant, loud, annoying presence that just doesn't care how loud or annoying he is. This is probably one of the more self-aware South Park episodes. After a so-called full nuclear Karen outburst, Randy is tranquilized and transferred to Hell's Pass Hospital. It's there where Randy is forced to come face to face with who he has become, and he feels remorse for every stupid second of it all. Within his and, well, Trey Parker's moment of self-awareness, Randy vows to be better. To find that piece of himself he lost somewhere on the way to the farm. Somewhere in the haze, Randy reunites with his long-lost Tegridy. He quits the hemp business and returns to his love of geology, using his odd but trusted abilities in that field to help the town from impending doom, yet again. Randy, the Randy of the golden years, is back. And I'm not even going to try to lie because I was so excited about it that I had to pause the show a little and do a little dance. Despite rejecting the stoner Karen that he had become, Randy is faced with the harrowing duty of going full sicko Karen mode one last time. Because it's the only way to save the town. But in order to do any of this, he just has to smoke a little bit of weed. From saline breast implants to ugly Karen haircuts, the day is saved. And partially thanks to Randy. Despite earlier vowing to stop with the weed completely, Randy continues on with it, inviting everyone to join him. The difference this time, though, is that there's acknowledgement and balance. Randy's whole existence doesn't revolve around weed anymore, and they prove that to us many times in the special. Randy can smoke weed and work on Tegridy Farms, but he can also revert to his geologist days where he was just a goof who got to play the main character every now and then. I don't think they need to erase what they've done with Tegridy Farms, because I genuinely don't find fault in the actual idea itself. It's the fact that it became everything, and eventually just too much. There's balance and discipline with Tegridy Farms finally, which is all I ever wanted to begin with. I mean, Stan TED talks his dad the best out of anyone.
Dad, you like to drink, so have a drink once in a while. Have two. If you devote your whole life to completely avoiding something you like, then that thing still controls your life and you've never learned any discipline at all. But maybe I'm just the kind of person who needs to have it all or nothing. Nah, all or nothing is easy. But learning to drink a little bit, responsibly, that's a discipline. Discipline comes from within.
Now, however, that's me speaking in hindsight. Even after the streaming wars, I wasn't fully convinced that things would be normal again. When I first saw Randy revert back to smoking dope, I was very worried. I was scared that we were all getting played and that nothing was actually going to change. That we essentially got trolled. Luckily though, season 26 really has fed us more than I could have imagined. And even better, Randy is actually Randy, not his evil Karen alter ego. Like, look, he's even got his little outfit on. South Park finally feels like South Park again, after years of a struggle to get here. I mean, the Meghan and Harry episode was just too perfect and felt very reminiscent of the golden years of South Park. It could easily fit into any of those seasons without any sort of trouble. It's just that good. It all just makes me feel so good about where South Park is headed. I just hope that this momentum that they're building doesn't die. I mean, we only get 6 episodes per season nowadays, so I don't really want any of them to be wasted on the same old crap we have gotten for years. I hope that we eventually get a new Randy episode that is just your typical Randy being, well, Randy, and not another Tegridy Farms holiday special. It just feels like such a waste when they have proven time and time again that Randy is such a funny character, and you can literally do whatever you want with him, and it'll work. Like, what's the use in reducing him down to Tegridy Farms yet again? Randy, Trey, Matt, I hope you take this video as a sign to never let Tegridy become too much Tegridy, to the point where it makes you lose your Tegridy. Or, you know, whatever.